Hello everybody, this is Make It Better, and today we're doing what if deku had a transfer quirk. Sorry about how quick I'm doing this. I already did this 5 times and people are getting worse out here. I can't do it in my room because my family's there and they like to be loud, and I'm trying to be out here, but this people are getting annoying even though it's this thing going on and they should be out, but no, they have to be here. Sorry. So I'm actually getting angry at all this. So, hello? Sorry guys, I had to move out of that spot because that was really getting annoying. Right when I stopped this point, people were actually playing music louder and louder. It was like some kind of contest on who's worst. So let me get back to it. Oh dang, no light here. There we go. So as Deku was pretty much pouring it in onto Mineta, everybody's pretty much sitting there and watching it as well. The whole class, even the teachers are watching it. Not Akoya because Deku pretty much told them not to stay here for it. So as it was going on, the first minute, Mineta pretty much woke up, asked what's going on, and then stopped and said, "This is what happened. Hey guys, what is going on? And why are you?" And he started crying. First was he was crying for 20 minutes, and then the next 20 minutes he started screaming in pain, like it says it hurts, and he trying to like get out of his restraints, but he can't because he's not strong enough. And then the last point, he pretty much stopped, dead quiet, and pretty much said every 5 minutes said, "Please kill me," and then the next 5 minutes, "Please kill me." And so he's been doing this for three. He's gonna be doing this for 3 hours. So the girls are somewhat enjoying it. Some of them left because they didn't want to see it anymore after the second hour. Some of the guys actually stayed there and start making bets on how long he can last until he pass out. And so, and the teachers are there. The Pussycats already know how it happens because some of the heroes have to go through that too. Is these are the heroes that Deku have done it to are the ones that are entitled, the ones that act like Bakugo but worse. So the night ends, everybody's pretty much go to sleep. Mineta actually gets a day off because after all that emotional drain, he was not able to move or anything, and pretty much his problem is he's pretty much like sitting there writing it down on the pen with a pencil and writing it down 100 times, or when he goes to sleep, that he will not do it again and he will not act like that how he was doing this year. So, and he did that so many times. He gave one to every girl that he saw. So pretty much all of them. And so the next day comes, everybody sees that Manela's not there. Aizawa pretty much told them that what's happened. And that scene on the show, pretty much in canon, everybody know that they have to train their quirk now. So everybody start training their quirks. And so, but for Deku, it's different. He actually, you know where the mountains is? Where the mountain, where Kota is. Way more busy here than I thought. But where Kota is, he pretty much like told Kota to move because he's gonna train here. Kota is okay with it because he knows that Deku is pretty strong. Dang. But anyway, what was I? And Deku pretty much bring his all of his jars out there, all 6 of them. I'll tell you each one after. All 6 of them on the floor, and he only brings a cupful. And so he's pretty much, they're in their solid form, so he bring it down to be the liquid form. And so he's just like, bring it down, and it grows bigger because it's not solid, so it's not as concentrated. So it's down to a gas. Well, gas is like 100 times bigger than liquid, and liquid is 10 times less. So pretty much, the more concentrated it is, it's solid, and then less liquid, and then the very least, or the basic, is gas. And yeah, so Deku pretty much, at first hour, he does the first hour he actually like crushed them down into this marble size, and he's tested a few of them. He pulled out a kind of like a, I've done this so many times I forgot if I did say this last time, but here we are. The jars he brought are all 6 of them: the green, the blue, the pink, the red, the gray, and the white. And so they're all in front of him, and he starts drinking. At the first hour, he grabbed the green one. It was liquid at first, so he noticed that the more solid they are, the easier it is to put them in a marble. So the first time, he goes in a backtrack. In the past, about 2 months ago, he noticed his jars are more solid. So he pretty much did a little test run, shut down a marble, one emotion, put in another emotion, take out the other one. So he pretty much shrunk down air, pretty much, into into same size of the marble. Grab one speck, you can barely see it, of like sand, and put one in there. And he did the same thing with all his emotions. Put it on his shelf, and just put a name tag on how long ago he put it. So it's been 2 months since he done that. And so he's doing the same thing at this point, training, but he's trying to put in, he figured out how much he can put in for to be 1 day, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, and a month. So he learned that, and he knows how much he does it. So he does those for an hour. So he has like 10 of each. And so he put those aside and put them in a sack or you pretty much holding all the marbles. And so the next hour, the teacher pretty much tell him to do that echolocation thing, but with each motion. And Deku gets it, and so he does. So he turned them down into a liquid. So it's 10 times more than he originally had. So a cup went to like bigger, and shot glass into a cup, into a pint, into a gallon, all that stuff. Man, this is getting annoying. So actually, man, I don't know. Got it. So when Deku pretty much made into a cup, he start drinking it, and it tastes like nothing. So it's just pretty much air. Well, it tastes like water, but in normal temperatures. So it's pretty disgusting, but he drank it. After it settled in for a minute, he feels it and start spreading it out all around him. At first, it was going to 50 yards. Then further, and then further. And the further it went to was, dang, I don't have a measurements, but pretty much 1,000 feet, or I'll just do meters because that's so much easier than the American way. So he went up to 500 meters, because I know 1,000 is mile. So 500 meters away, and then he um he he's been doing that the whole time, and it's getting boring. After an hour, he pretty much like put it right back into the jar. It's somewhat bigger because there's still animals out there, and so he's been taking in those animals' emotions and putting it back in, so messing with their emotions. So he got a little bit more out of it than he originally did. And then he did the next one, which is blue. And so he's doing the same thing, but it got bigger and took about a hundred. Yeah, it's gonna take 100 more meters. So the green one was 5, and then he getting better at it. And then the blue one, it took up 6 meters all around him. And so he keeps doing this. Pretty much he's moving his arms up and then out, in and out, showing that he's spreading it out and spreading it back in. And then he does the same thing to red, and then the gray, and then white. And now he's doing the last one. At this time, some of them took longer than others for him to like get used to the emotion and try to fix it. And so it took them about 5 to 10 to one of them took 30 minutes. The gray one took 30 minutes to push out. And so it's almost at their 8 hour mark. So he has enough time to do the last one. And so he drank the pink one, kind of like strawberry, drank it up, wait a minute, and pushed it out as far as he can, and it reached 1,000 meters away. So a mile away. And he pushed it back in, and that took him a minute to go all the way out and a minute to go all the way back in. And he thinks about how fast it is. So he thinks if he can go faster, it would be easier. So he's trying to make it faster as he can. So it's getting shorter and shorter to be. Originally it was 5 minutes to go all the way to a mile and come back. But he made it so fast to be 1 minute down to 1 minute. So it was that fast. Even Ida can't go that fast in a minute. Well, I don't think so. His normal speed, he can't. But when he goes up to a second and third gears, he can. So everybody's like pretty much were called in to come in and eat their dinner because he already done a breakfast, lunch, in betweens. As he come in, he didn't actually take out all of it. So he's more happy-go-lucky feeling. Pretty much the pink one. If you guys know what I mean, it's going to something happens. And so he just come in out of it. And this all happening in a week. So in 1 day. This all happened 1 day. And so he comes in, sees Jiro, and pretty much ran up to her and actually hugged her in front of everybody. And she's pretty sweaty and tired, so she's trying to like pull him away, saying, "I haven't taken a shower. Wait," and kind of nervous. And Zuko pretty much pulled her in and gave her a hug, and just like hold her there for a few minutes. And she's pretty much asking him, "Why are you hugging me for this long?" And Zuko pretty much is like, "I don't know why, but I just want to hug you for this long." What is going on? Anyway, where was I? And Bakugo pretty much slapped his Deku on his back, and as he does this, he got a little bit the emotion out, and Zuko pretty much backed up and said, "Thank you, Bakugo." And Bakugo said, "For what?" And Deku said, "For that." And some of it actually went to Bakugo's hand. It's kind of like pink slime of sorts. And Bakugo pretty much like splatter everywhere. Some of the girls got it, some of the guys got it, and they feel a little happier and kind of like, yeah. turn on of sorts. So some of the girls got it, some of the guys got it. None of them that were actually. And Zuko pretty much said, "Okay, I'm sorry." And he just like grab it, the snap, bring all the people that had it. It pretty much was a drop, kind of like a raindrop, and then came right back to his hand, and he crushed it down into a marble and put it in his pocket. And all the guys pretty much said, "Dude, what was that?" And the girls were asking the same thing. And Zuko said, "Well, that's my last emotion for today." And it was, and he looked at Juro and said, "It was my the pink emotion, the love emotion." And I just immediately wanted to hug you the whole time. I was, and he's like kind of nervous, laughing. Um, I have no idea what would happen if the Bakudo didn't do that. So and she pretty much said okay, and she's pretty much getting used to all this, and so pretty much asked Deku, "Can you cook for us?" And Zuko pretty much said, "Yeah, I can cook." And since Class 1B is there, and Lorenzo, he was the one who did it. So Lorenzo is actually there, and he's the main chef. And so he pretty much bumped to Lorenzo and said, "Can you help me?" And so Lorenzo is helping, and as they're like cutting up vegetables at the same time, Deku pretty much whispered, "So, how is it going?" And Lorenzo said, "On what? On the food or?" And Deku said, "On the girl." And Lorenzo pretty much stopped, holding on the knife, looked at him, and pretty much said, "It's going great. It's actually, her parents are pretty nice. Your advice really helped." And then she came up and saying, "Hey, Lorenzo, what are you doing? Can you help me with something over here?" And he just pretty much turned around, put the knife down, and helped out. So that little interaction happened. He makes some food for actually him and Jiro, making some food. She likes it, and as Deku was going to like leave and take the plate and clean it, Jiro pretty much decided to give him a kiss because one the pink thing actually got onto her as well, and he didn't notice until it was too late. So she just pretty much gave him a kiss as he was leaving. Sorry. And so that little reaction happened. Deku kind of like blushed, but just a bit, and then it went away. And that happens for that kind of little reaction happened on the first day, but Zuko pretty much learned his lesson, so he's doing it in a different order, where it's pink, red, blue, green, gray, and then white. And everybody feels happier after white because white is hope. And so it happens throughout the whole week. I'm not sure how long it was supposed to be, so it'd be a whole week and a half. No, it'd be a whole week. So in the last, uh, the 6th day was, and then the seventh day. Yes, a whole week. Is my term is 7 days. So after the sixth one, he was getting really tired, and so he brought out his jars because he used up almost all of it. And this time he did it the last since it's the last one. He actually does the whole thing, and he's taking in almost a pint full of the liquid um, of each emotion. And when he does this, he actually goes up. It's gone so far to be 2 miles away, of all around him, 2 miles away, and he can do it instantly, but he had to get used to it because he saw some people and he needed to move further away. So he's like on top of the mountain as he's doing this. So, sorry. Okay. So the attack happens. everything went up to normal. Everybody's getting their things. Deku actually got one from Jero, but they were the last ones. And as they were about to walk in, the attack happens. Everybody's going on and crazy. Everybody's yelling, and then someone said, "Where's Kota?" And Deku pretty much know this, where he is exactly, and start running over there because he knows that Kota is not fast enough to get down from the mountain. So he start running over there, and like in canon, he sees how Kota is crying in front of Muscular, and Deku pretty much stopped, and he saw how he was taking a punch, winding up the punch and start hitting, going towards Kota. As it fully extended, it was like an inch away. Deku pretty much came in flying, pushing that very punch out of the way, kind of scratching Kota a bit, but out of the way and hitting the mountain. And so so here comes the fight. And at this point, Zuko pretty much is like mostly drained. So he did the last. He was so tired, and some remnants of one emotion was still in him. And I'm not gonna say it until later. So all the he started dodging. It pretty much telling Kota to run, and as he is, he actually is like hiding behind the spot that he usually is, because he was actually no, I won't do that. So everything happened the same thing in canon, but at the point where Musker is over Deku in the rubbles, and Kota pretty much sprayed the thing on him, his quirk on him. Deku pretty much got up. I'm not sure if I gave him it. I say I have. Don't remember giving it to anybody else. So Zuko pretty much gave 1,000,000%, and at this point, he actually pours in the black. He didn't. He doesn't remember. He didn't get any black from his source, so he's using it from of himself, his own emotions, into it in that very punch into Muscular, and Muscular just pretty much froze up and start like kind of like freak. He's knocked out. He's completely knocked out from that 1,000,000 punch, and then the black ooze is actually going into him and start affecting his brain, and he's twitching a bit, but he's not actually responding. So Zuko pretty much, and since after he waited a minute and he asked Kota to put some water, give him some water, he drank some, and he completely healed and asked Kota to get on, and he started running. As he's running by everybody, he's actually helping out everybody there, and he sees. I need to remember the scene. So he goes straight to Aizawa, and same thing happens. All the same thing happens, but with his arms all fully healed. So he's helping out with the 6-arm guy, duplicate arm, and guy, and helping out with Tokiyami, and pretty much telling Black Shadow to cover your host all around you and protect him. You are the protector, and the Black Shadow is actually calming down. And then Deku pretty much bring out the yellow emotion from everybody around him, and like try and make it as big as possible, kind of like solid, but it's so yellow it seems like the sun. So Dark Shadow actually calmed down and start covering up Tokiyami. And so they hear an explosion, so they ran over there to help out what's going on. At that point, Bakugo and Toki Shoto pretty much stopped him, and because Bakugo is strong enough to do it, and Tokiyami Shoto is strong enough as well. So everything is going on, same thing. Mr. Compress actually was he took Bakugo, started flying away, and then Deku pretty much asked Tsuyu and Uraka to throw him over there, and he used a one for all as well. And so they do stop them and pretty much stomped on. He pretty much gained on him so fast he pushed Mr. Compress down to the floor, almost and pretty much getting a Bakugo and throwing it over to one of the because they're now at the center point. Start throwing it at to one of the teachers. I don't remember who. And they break it and pop out Bakugo. And as the Deku was there, and he's like breathing heavily and couldn't really move at all because he used up a lot of his stamina, and he can't because his he's at his limit on both of his quirks, and his last one is the all for one. It was one for all was keeping him conscious, and then someone from behind blew flames into Dekugo. I'm sorry. So as he's standing there, about walking towards anybody else, saying, "Does anybody else need some help?" And then at that point, Dobby pretty much threw blue flames into Deku's back, almost burning it to where you can see his spine. And then Compressed kind of like a struggle getting up, and then Dobby pretty much told him. Dobby pretty much told him, Compressed, take that kid, and so he does the same thing. And instead of like showing Deku, what he actually took was actually Deku. He compressed Deku down into the marble size, threw it to Dobby, and then everybody were getting teleported out. And everybody's like screaming. And they actually did the same thing what they did to Bakugo. He pretty much did. Deku was standing there, kind of like almost passing out, and Deku pretty much like moved one of his left arms and threw something he threw something to Bakugo, and Bakugo was trying to grab him, but at that very second he actually grabbed that marble, and he got it, and Deku pretty much disappeared in front of their eyes. So at this point, you guys know that Deku was kidnapped, and the class were all together. Everybody's in a circle getting healed and everything. Some of them were asking where Deku goes, and Baku's like still right there standing, froze up, and just with his hands out, like pretty much said, I was there. I was so close. If only, if only." And he just like crushed his hand down. The one thing that was in his hand was a marble, and he crushed it down. And he just like he just dropped down, and a yellow mist came out, and it just enveloped Bakugo, and he just feels calm, and soothed, and it was yellow and white, and so he felt so calm, and he just like sitting there, and he just feels he's just sitting there this whole time that everybody's like running around and getting everybody safe. And that scene's in. So let's go to Nezu. Nezu knows that Deku was actually taken by the League of Villains, and so he told the whole class that they have a week to. There's some of them are still in the hospital because how bad it was, and this time it's who else was hurt? there was nobody else that was hurt but more than Deku. But he, that won't work. Okay, they will all have a group chat, and so everybody's pretty much like talking all these things that happened in the forest camp, and Buckles is the only one that's telling them to calm down. And as Baku was pretty much there to tell everybody to calm down. We can do something about it. And this all and then on when it comes up to Friday, and Baku pretty much said that's enough. Let's go and find him. And he knows that Momo had the tractor, and so the team up happens. But this time it's not Momo. She pretty much can't do it, but she then Jiro came up and said, "I'll do it." And then Kirishima, and then Bakugo, and who else? Ida. So not Momo, but everybody else. And they come up, and in the group chat, everybody's like telling them to stop, but they won't listen. And so they go out on Friday to go and get Deku, and they're right there. And Bakugo actually got something in his bag. Some of them are asking what's in his bag, and Bakugo said, "Don't worry about it. This will help out him when he comes out, when we get him." Because since he was so calm at the very beginning, and after the effects have worn off, he started planning on how Deku would have treated the situation, and so he pretty much is holding the jars, and he's only holding 3, and they're all full to a gallon full, and put them in his bag, and they're all solid to they're actually solid as a rock. They almost seem like metal. What time is it? Okay, I have enough time. So let's go, and they see how the people are, and see how All Might and everybody's taking the raid, and they see Deku there standing right in between All for One and One for All, and he's like standing there right there. And let's transfer to Deku's point of view. He was taken in, and he just pretty much passed out for the next 2 days. As he woke up, he was in there in a chair, tied up, and looking around. And he pretty much like start wiggling around, and he makes enough commotion to tell everybody else that he's awake. And so they are seeing him, and the reason they Shiraki pretty much told Deku, the reason we took you was not at first was to bring you in since you seem villainous. But some of them said, no, it wasn't that. Some of them were saying that, and Shiraki said, no, it wasn't that. And he said, well, my boss, he wanted your quirk. So, I guess you're going to get to meet one for all for one. With a very happy grin, and Deku's just like sitting there, kind of waving and nodding his head. And he said, "Okay, but can you give me some water? I'm extremely thirsty." And Shiraki says, "Sure, you're gonna be dead anyway, so why not?" And so Deku pretty much got a cup, and he started drinking the whole thing. And then Shiraki pretty much made it into a joke and said, "Let's see how much you can drink." And so Dobby pretty much brought out a gallon of water and started pouring it onto Deku's face. And Deku actually needed this, and he started chugging the whole thing as much as he can into his body. And he he has trained so much. He has actually practiced is how what it shows on his skin. They know one of they know about one power quirk, and they think that's the only one. And so Zuko is pretty much healing slower. He's making himself healing slower. And but throughout that whole week of training, some wounds from the past had came back and stayed on him. So it's he wasn't fed anything. He was just given water. And Zuko pretty much is kind of clicking. He's just doing this every time. He's as he does that, the field is coming out and going in, but just small enough and low enough where no one can tell what he's doing. So he's actually going out, seeing where he is, and trying to like give a signal to anybody. And then when he go in, take it back in, he takes in some of the anger and the fear of everybody around him into himself, but enough where they can't tell, since they're all sleeping and he's awake at this time. So he just keep doing this for 4 days. Well, since it was Friday, Saturday was Saturday. The attack happened on Saturday, and then after 2 days, be on Tuesday. So he's been doing this for 3 days, and on the Friday, he hears a knock, and All Might said, and he said, "A pick and delivery," and crashes into a room. He's taking out everybody in there, and he's looking for Midoriya. As this is going on, everybody's kind of panicking and trying to fight back, and the attack is happening in the next room, in the next building. So everything is going on in canon, but it's this time Bakugo. This time it's Midoriya. And Midoriya is just standing there, sitting there, not tied up at all because he was so tired. And he's look at All Might and he see white, and so Zuko pretty much push in some white into him, and All Might feels so much more power, and he start crushing and destroying the building in there. At this time in canon, everybody was taken in by the ooze that was coming out of their mouth, but I'm not sure how. It was disgusting. Everybody was taken away, and Deku was like right there in the corner still, and just exhausted, and he's kind of like standing up and walking. And All Might actually forgot about this because he was more focused on taking down everybody. As he saw this, some shockwave came out of nowhere, and here comes All for One. And it was a second there, and All Might saw this and start flying all the way over to All for One and start fighting him. And Deku is like actually taking steps a little bit faster. He's kind of like running, you know. He's more like he's just he's actually walking. Let's do that because the fight was actually going a long time. So they're fighting each other, and at the point where they're both kind of exhausted, and All for One is actually forming his arm. Zuko is actually in the block, and so he just used one for all and jumped and landed right in the middle, and he stomped down hard enough where it goes only to All Might and or All for One. It stopped them in their tracks, and everybody, and at this point, even the people are watching this, the crowd, the cameras are watching this, and pretty much telling the crowd that some kid have entered the battlefield and stopped both All Might and that very villain in their tracks. Is he a comrade or a villain as well? And some of the people are saying, no, that's a hero. he's he's a and they're all saying that he's the winner of the Force Festival, and he's as they're saying this uh, in the helicopter, saying, "Correction, it's the hero from he's the, it's the winner of the last sports festival that a while ago. He has stopped both All Might and that villain at the same time. What is he doing?" And they're trying to tell the. Okay, here we go. So Bakugo sees this, and he pretty much tell everybody to open his bag, and they do, and so they pull it out, and they pull out a gray, a black, and a red out, and they are holding this, and it felt really heavy, and they're saying, "Dang man, this thing is heavy. You've been holding this whole time?" And Bakugo said, "Don't mind that. Just throw it at Zuko." And they said, "Why?" And Bakugo said, "Throw it at him now." And as he was doing it, it's so loud that everybody, Deku heard this. All Might was listening, but he was more focused on All for One, and they threw it. They just threw it as close as possible. It was a yard away, but close as possible to Zuko. And he look around and see that it's Bakugo and the group, and he just gives them a smile and a thumbs up, and he pretty much opened his two hands out and took in that very emotions. And these are the gallon full of red, a gallon full of gray, and a gallon full of black. All of it in, and he's just like pushing it into himself. And he's like kind of like flexing of sorts, and it's some of it is oozing out, kind of like it came out of a pool of sorts, and it's oozing out that very color and going right back in, oozing out and coming right back in, and everybody's kind of freaking out about this because it seems like it was blood that came that kid just absorbed, and then it looks so weird to them they can't and everybody's actually taking the helicopter is actually videotaping this whole thing. The people on the news is taking a video of this whole thing. They can hear everything. And Zuko pretty much said, and he started making footsteps and walking towards All for One, and he's getting closer until he's like almost he's a foot away from All for One, and Deku pretty much tell him out loud, "So, I heard you wanted my quirk." And All for One is trying to move, but he can't at this whole time. And he pretty much smiles and said, "Yes, I want your quirk. And I can give you so much more. Just give me your quirk, and I'll give you all of this." And he's showing Deku like a bunch of quirks. And Zuko said, "Fine, deal." And All Might was yelling at Midoriya to don't make a deal with him. Don't do it. And he's like actually losing hope. And everybody's getting shocked that he's helping the villain. And Zuko pretty much pulled out and he said deal, and he pulled and said as he's holding his heart and well his stomach, his chest, and said, "I will follow you." And All for One is getting happier and tried to reach for his arm, for his face to take his quirk, but he can't. And Zuko said, "But I'd rather do this." And he pulled out every emotion that he had been doing. He took out the gray. It starts forming gray and then start forming red, slowly out of him. Out of 6 inches away, it start turning black, and he's like, it's covering his hand fully, And Zuko pretty much is looking at it, giving an evil grin, and crushing it down into a. It was the size of a basketball, and he crushed it down into a tennis ball, and forced it, kind of like a punch, but open-handed punch, into a All For One, and said, "Now you are gonna feel what I feel. I feel." And Deku pretty much said, "All right, I guess you wanted my other quirk, right?" And he just said, "Reverse." So everybody's hearing reverse, and they see scars and wounds and punctures throughout All For One's arm, from the right to the left, from his face all over. Some of his arms are actually breaking, uh, turning, and pretty much. And I'm thinking of it, it's making me sick. One moment. And what he just did. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm back. And so it's. And Zuko pretty much snapped again. And All Might can move. And he was like getting ready for a punch again. Actually, hold and pretty much. Deku pretty much gave him the signal to keep going. And All Might sees this and start forming that last Detroit Smash, United States Smash. And he's charging up. And Deku pretty much jumped back right in front of using one all for one for all, and jumping right back into the group, and said, "Okay, guys, let's go. We had to go." And they just pretty much picked him up and ran. With either pretty much ran, pulled him and ran because he's the fastest. And everybody sees this, and they're shocked to see that All For One is actually kneeling, holding he's crossing his arms, and like he's just like contracting, moving kind of creepily, and start like screaming out in pain this whole time, and he's trying to like get rid of the very quirk out of him, but he can't because it's not a quirk that he just took. It's the pain and emotional pain that Deku just did and took. And he's just like screaming in bloody murder. He's screaming that terrible. I can't say it because it will hurt my lungs, my voice. And so All Might pretty much said, "United States Smash," and pretty much knocked, well, almost killed. He was half dead. He pretty much almost killed All For One, because all the damage that Zuko pretty much did to him, and All Might just did to him, pretty much is on the edge of death, and everything happens. And as Zuko went up in the, actually was taken to his home, and like everybody's like kind of worried, and all right, Joel's there, and pretty much tell them, let's take him home, and everybody pretty much going to his house, locking on the door, and then opening it, and he pretty much knocked. They pretty much got there fast enough. Ida got there fast enough, and everybody else just try to go there using their quirks, and that'll be enough for today. I can't think of anything else right now, but that's for today, and I'll end the scene and then I'll stop it. As everybody's like rushing in, they just pretty much tell Ingo that we brought your son. We brought your son. Where's and put him on the couch, and everybody just like sat there, and pretty much did that. And Zuko pretty much said, "Well, thank you guys. and he just fell asleep. And the next day comes up, and I'll end the video at this point. Thank you guys for listening. It seems a little off, but I had to think about this a whole time for it worked for me. Because I didn't like how I was thinking on anything. And yeah, so hopefully the next one will be good.